everyone. We will get this meeting started. It is Monday, March 4th, correct? Yes. This is our regularly scheduled council meeting, first one for March. If you do wish to address council, please see Mr. Hedger in the back and get signed in. And then we will start our meeting as we always do by standing for the prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening again, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. Next item on our agenda is roll call. So, Mr. Hedger, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Orb?
Here.
Mr. Wald?
Here.
Ms. Dukestein?
Present.
Ms. Alexander? Ms. Brunner?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Underwood?
Here.
All right, did get notification from Ms. Alexander that she would be absent this evening.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we excuse Ms. Alexander from this evening's meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Orb?
I will second that motion.
Motion for Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Zorb to excuse Ms. Alexander from this evening's meeting. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orb?
Yes.
Mr. Wald?
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the agenda. Before we do that, I did bring hard copies of a potential resolution I would like to get added to tonight's agenda. This is for a roof repair of the other building that the fire department and the police department are housed in.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I will make a motion to amend the agenda to include this resolution. We don't have a number for it, though.
It would be number 4, correct, Mr. Hedger?
Yes, Mr. President.
So I'll make a motion to add Resolution 4, a resolution dispensing with statutory bidding procedures due to conditions of urgent necessity related to the repair of a roof leak.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to amend the agenda to add Resolution 4, 2024, resolution dispensing with statutory bidding procedures due to conditions of urgent necessity related to the repair of a roof leak. Any discussion?
Mr. President, that
Ms.
was
Brenner.
the fire department?
Yes, fire department, police department building.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis?
yeah, just to be clear, this is the building that's next to next to Crimmers, not what we refer to as the city center.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure.
All right, motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to amend the agenda and add Resolution 4, 2024. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orb?
Yes.
Mr. Wald?
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. Now we need to approve the amended agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I'd like to second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. Dukestein to approve tonight's amended agenda. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Ms. Zorn,
Yes.
Mr. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Brenner,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. We have minutes from the February 20th meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I move that we accept the minutes from the meeting of February 20th, 2024.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I'd like to second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Dukestein to accept the meeting minutes from February 20th, 2024. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Zorn,
Yes.
Mr. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Brenner,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you. Next up is communication. Do you have any communication this evening, Mr. Hedger?
Thank you, Mr. President. No, I do not.
Thank you. That'll bring us to council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
Mr. President, we have not had a meeting yet. Our next meeting will be March the 8th at 6:30 here at the Senior Center.
Thank you, Ms. Brunner. Next is Budget and Finance.
11.
We also have not met, and our next meeting will be March the 11th here at the Senior Center at
Is it the
7:30.
11th? 8th? That's the second. 11.
I believe the 11th is probably right. Thank you. Next, Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have not had a meeting. Our last meeting was canceled due to some updates being done at this building. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 25th at 6:30.
Thank you. And Public Safety.
Mr. President, Public Safety has not met. Actually, myself and Ms. Underwood gave our time up to do I lost my train of thought.
Executive session.
Not
Public
executive
safety.
session, to do a committee of the whole. Thank you. And we had to cancel it because of the conditions of the building.
Thank you. Next up is Ad hoc Reports. Does anyone have an ad hoc report to present this evening? Hearing none, we'll move to administrative reports. Good evening, Madam Mayor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had a couple of things. The first one is the Hamilton County Office of Youth. They want to have a partnership with the city where they employ the youth or the young adults, and they will pay for it. I'm not sure what that looks like for us, but at any rate, it's a great idea for the kids to get out in partnership with other businesses. And some of the dates, they'll be at North College Hill High School. It is the high school on April 18th from 4 to 6. So if you know any young adults, I believe it goes up to age 21 that is interested in a summer job, you should send them there. And I think, as long as they have what they asked to bring, that is guaranteed employment. And for us, if we were to partner with them, that means that we could have some kids in the summer maybe cutting grass, some kids picking up litter, doing other things throughout the community, and they would pay for it for them. And I had another question. I know that the committees gave up their time in order for us to have a meeting. If we could just get some thoughts together on what another meeting looks like or what the next steps look like, and as far as getting the information out from what has been researched and done as far as the city building is concerned. I know there were a couple of ideas where some people needed to make some contacts just to have a little bit of feedback of where that is. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Next up is the city administrator's report. Good evening, Ms. Ike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a couple of items this evening. I wanted to let you know that the 513 relief bus will be here at this facility on March 14th, which is next Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. If you were here in the fall when they came, I think it was late October, they came and they brought the van and set up in here because the weather was a little colder than what it is now. But they will be back with the same level of services here in the community next Thursday. So if you're available, please stop by and see what they have going on. The other item that's coming up is that we have offered this facility to be a polling location in the upcoming primary on March 19th. That does mean there will be some setup going on here at our next meeting, our next council meeting on the 18th. So it is likely that these air walls would be pulled to make the space back here more private for the council meeting while they do the setup in the rest of the facility. So I wanted to make you aware of that, and I will send a reminder before that happens. But that will be a very busy night with the setup for the election and having a council meeting at the same night. So it'll be the place to be on Monday the 18th. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ike. I'm sorry, could you repeat the date for the 513 relief bus?
That is March 14th.
14th. Thank you. Any questions for the city administrator?
Mr. President, I have one.
Ms. Orr?
Ms. Ike, is there any need for us to move our council meeting to a different night to accommodate the polling location?
That would be up to council. I mean,
Do you
that is
think
your
it's
call.
feasible to do everything in this room on the same night, or do you think that's going to be a cluster?
I think it's going to be a little distracting, honestly, which is why I suggested we pull the air walls closed so that we can have some access along the wall, but they would be here setting up. I am worried about the sound, but we had committed to this as a polling place before we were occupying this building, and I didn't feel like we could go back on that.
Sure.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
to piggyback on Ms. Zorb's question to you about that, I know, and I might be putting him on the spot, but Mr. Dieters had offered his facility at one point if we needed to do something. Is that possible that you facilitate that, or to kind of?
I don't know that that would accommodate a council meeting.
Okay.
Nah, it's just more just a conference room. Yeah, I don't think it would.
What about the school building?
For your meeting? I mean, if you want to move your meeting, that is up to you.
It is.
Yeah, that is your call.
We can put that in new business. We want to discuss that. Is that okay? All right. Thank you, Ms. Ike. Next up is the law director's report. Good evening, Mr. Dieters.
Mr. President, I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the law director? All right, then we have finance director's report, and we do not have a finance director here this evening. So we'll move to call of members, starting with Ms. Zorb.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's a couple of things that I would like to talk about tonight. One is I would like to know if we could resurrect the food truck ordinance, and I was wondering if perhaps you could assign, Mr. President, if you could assign a committee that we could discuss that and make sure that things are being done the way the ordinance is written and the way we want it to be. The reason I'm saying that is because I have noticed that we have 2, maybe 3 food trucks in the city that have become pretty much permanent structures. So I want to make sure that that aligns with legislation and what we expect as a council. The next thing that I would like you to assign, possibly Mr. Graver, is I think at one time, and I think it might have been in Miss Underwood's committee. We had a facility use policy that we were talking about. I don't know where that stands, if that needs to go to another committee, if we've beat it to death in your committee, or I just think now that this building is getting underway, I think it's time again to resurrect that and work all the way through that one. And then the last thing on my list, I saved the best for last. As a lot of you recall, last council meeting, we had a resident come up here and tell us about a concert venue that seemed to have popped up in our city. Well, lo and behold, the very next weekend, we had another concert in our city. Mm-hmm. And I know that because the glassware in my house was rattling, starting at 10:30 at night. It didn't stop until 1:30 in the morning, which I reported it at 10:30. I find it hard to believe it takes 3 hours to shut it down. To me, that's unacceptable. I witnessed food trucks. I witnessed party vans showing up with gobs and gobs of people barreling out with 12 packs in their hands, so much so that the 12 packs busted open and fell all over the ground, and everybody laughed. Ha, that must mean you've had too much to drink. Going into a facility that, one, doesn't have a liquor license, two, is breaking the noise ordinance, three, I'm pretty sure is breaking the fire code because there were too many people there when they're parked all the way down through their whole facility, through Dollar General, through Valvoline, and into the Hair Palace. That's a lot of cars. Even if there's only one person per car, that's a lot of cars. So I need something done about this. I need something done soon about this. So what I am requesting is that a meeting get established with, I'm going to say myself, I'm going to say the mayor, city administrator, law director, fire chief, and police chief. And I want to get to the bottom of this, and I want to know why it takes 3 hours to shut something like that down. They are clearly breaking a ton of laws, and why does it take 3 hours to get them shut down? That's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. We in our prayer, we say, let's make the best decisions for our city. One business getting away with this is not the best thing for our city. We just said that in a prayer. That's not it. I need this addressed. And soon. Not kicking this can down the road. I want a plan, a written plan in place to know what we're going to do the next time this happens, because I can hardly believe that it's not going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And I want to know what's going to be done promptly when it happens again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zorb. I'll assign committees in new business
Thank you.
for those first two requests. Next up, Ms. Dewald.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Ms.
All
Dukestein.
your time.
I would just like to say I'm grateful for warmer weather. That's it.
Ms. Brunner.
Yes, I would like to, I would just like to say Happy Women's Month to the mayor, administrator, the ladies in the audience, and the ladies on council. And it's one particular gym that we have in North College Hill, and that's the Greater Cincinnati Women's Post, 644. The American Legion chapter was formed in 1946 by women's veterans, celebrating 76 years last year. They are one of 5 all-women legions in the United States. Their legacy is to continue to uphold strides to remaining separate entities made of women within the nation's largest wartime veteran service organizations. Congratulations. And we have Miss Peggy here. She's from the Post 644. If you have any questions after, she's here to answer everything. And we appreciate you here in North College Hill. That's a little bit of history here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Brunner. I learned something tonight. Appreciate it. Next up is Mr. Davis.
I'd simply like to say, piggybacking on what Ms. Zorb said, if there is going to be a committee assigned, I'd like to be a part of that. And once again, I offer my services ability to be a go between whoever is promoting these events and the city. Let's make sure that we're able to communicate exactly what's going on and see what can be done to alleviate these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Underwood.
I don't have anything this evening, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Underwood. All right, that brings us to remarks from the audience. Mr. Hedger, do we have anyone signed in this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we have Ned Hegerbrim here.
Thank you. Please adjust the microphone so that you can be heard, and please start with your name and address, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My name's Ned Hegerbrim. I'm the manager of the Groesbeck Public Library up at Coleraine and Galbraith, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the library. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and I do want to thank the residents of North College Hill for making the Groesbeck Branch Library the busiest library branch in Cincinnati and Hamilton County in 2023. I'm very proud of that. I wanted to take a quick moment to make a plug for the library and encourage everybody to make 2024 the year you take advantage of all the library has to offer. Come by the Groesbeck Branch Library and check out some books. We did get beaten by 4 unnamed suburban East Side branches in book checkouts, but we were #1 in every other metric. North College Hill's business is competed for by 2 of our sister branches, Mount Healthy, which will soon be in a totally new building, which is very exciting, and College Hill. But we serve a lot of North College Hill residents at Groesbeck, and I'd love to beat those East Side branches. If you aren't using our digital collections, you're really missing out. Through our Libby app alone, you have access to 150,000 ebooks for free, 65,000 e-audiobooks, and 5,000 magazines. Like I said, it's all free with your library card. So if you're paying for Kindle ebooks, please save some money and check them out from your library. If the students in your family aren't using EBSCOhost, ProQuest, and Opposing Viewpoints in Context for their homework, they should be. I'll make a plug for 2 I particularly like: free graphical access to consumer reports and verified business and residential phone lookup through Resident Reference Solutions. You do have a former library staffer here at the library or at the City Council, so you can always get him to give you tips on how to use things. If you're a crafter, please come in to Groesbeck on the 2nd Monday of every month at 6 p.m. to join our Work in Progress group. If you need some relaxation, join our Coloring for Adults group the 2nd Saturday of every month. And if you'd like to join a book club or run your own book club, we are your connection. And I would like to say we've been hosting one of the longest running mystery book clubs in the city at the branch for over 20 years now. But we've just started a romance book club. So if you're a romance reader, you may want to check that out. It's the last Wednesday of every month. I think they're rating their books by the how spicy, how many peppers or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm out of my league on that one. Lastly, this message goes out to all of the babies, toddlers, and preschoolers who may be tuning in at home on ICR-TV. We have some fun story times at the branch. Library Babies every Monday morning, Family Story Time every Tuesday morning, Movers and Shakers every Wednesday morning, and Library Playdate every Thursday morning. You know, the kids really lost a lot of socialization time during COVID, and it's a really great way to get them out there and get that interaction with other kids. It's 10:15 each morning, no registration needed. I also want to put a plug out: if you're aged 8 or younger and need help winding down before bedtime, you can join Miss Claire via Zoom every Thursday night for a special virtual story time. Lastly, please do remember and spread the word that we provide a free hot meal Monday through Friday at 3:15 for anyone 18 and under, and throughout the school year, and then Monday through Friday at lunch during summer. It's free to everybody. Like I said, it's a hot meal. So thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for your support of the library, and we'll see you there checking those books out. Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I got Ms. Underwood first.
I would just like to also say one more thing about the Groesbeck Library, which I absolutely love. They have a drive-through, so you can order your books online and pick them up in the drive-through and drop them back off at the drive-through. So,
Thank you. Good
yes.
You have to add that to your list. Somebody over, Ms. Zorb.
Mr. President, thank you. I was just curious, do the ebooks count as books, or it's like a physical book?
E-books count as books, but not for the individual branches, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
They're
checking.
setting new records all the time, but we don't get credit for them. It's still good to do them, though.
I love to drive with my ebooks.
And our new Mount Healthy branch will have the drive up. I'm very happy to say. Drive up is a great option.
And Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Davis.
Yes. Ned, if you get a chance, I'm not trying to lessen your workload, but if y'all are interested in expanding or adding any new branches, North College Hill would love to have a branch of the Cincinnati Public Library. We've got there's nothing but space and opportunity all around y'all. So just if you get that idea, just let us know.
All right, thank you for that.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I was not going to say anything, but I have thoroughly enjoyed. My kids have aged out of Groesbeck's 10-15 time, and I thoroughly miss it. It brought back so many warm memories. So for parents who have younger children, it is an awesome, awesome thing. So.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hedger.
Thank you. We have a Fannin A. Rucker.
Fanon. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Mr. Davis.
It's Fanon Rucker.
Thank you. Mayor, council, administration, residents, my name is Fanon Rucker, and I am the managing attorney of the Cochran Law Firm. And I'm here on behalf of a family who is a College Hill family. We have the tragic honor of representing what I have to offer is truly the most incredible, God-fearing, humble family that I've ever been able to represent. We're coming up on a very tragic anniversary. About a quarter mile up the street on March 31st, William Dunson passed away on his way home. Let me first be clear. There's no litigation against College Hill. North College Hill is fine. We're good. So let me just make that clear. I'm not here on any legal issues to confront. But what I would like to offer to this body to consider is the creation, funding, and placing of some permanent, modest memorial to Mr. William Dunson. Again, he was a very active and engaged resident of this community. He was in this community, serving this community, when his life was tragically taken by someone who was not in or from this particular city at the time. And it was North College Hill officers who first responded and who were there to aid and assist him, again, in this tragic circumstance. So we are currently engaged with Springfield Township in this action that is public. But I come here because, one, we're approaching the anniversary, and on behalf of the family, I would ask this body to consider, again, the creation of some modest, permanent memorial to William Dunson to commemorate and to remind the community about what happened and to try to be more careful. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rucker.
Thank you.
Mr. Hedger.
Thank you. We have Andrea Brooks.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing? How you doing?
Do you need me to say my address?
Please.
Andrea Brooks, 4 Beach Knoll Drive, Cincinnati, North College Hill, 45224. So I am back again, as Ms. Zorb mentioned. I know 2 weeks ago I shared my concerns because I live behind the Flock Entertainment Center and had some conversations with the owner about the initial party that happened, I don't know, on or about, I don't know, I forget which weekend. It was the weekend before the 23rd of February. And like Ms. Zorb mentioned, again, there was another party the following Saturday. And it's All Stars MC, Leather and Lace. There was a meet and greet from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m. And it also has something, and I'm willing to share this via email if needed, the poster that you can get bottle service. So a bottle of your choice, meaning an alcoholic beverage, in the VIP section for $250. So without a liquor license, and again, with me calling again, this time I didn't get a response from the non-emergency line. I did see police officers over there. And again, I wonder why it takes so long, because I want to say when I didn't speak to the owner that night. He didn't answer the phone, but I guess his manager of that property ended up calling me back that night. Her name is Andrea as well. I think her last name is Hill. And said the party was scheduled over a year ago, and it was scheduled to go on until 2. We had a really friendly conversation. She mentioned she was going to have a conversation with the owner, Mr. Davenport, but I don't know that anything will change. And I guess, so I'm here to express my concern about, I don't know what the difference is in regards to rules, preparation, with our ordinance. According to our ordinance, our noise ordinance, it doesn't seem that there are any special allowances for businesses, but I feel like if I had a party and multiple people complained, it wouldn't be 3 hours before the police came back and shut me down. And so now that we've had 2 dress rehearsals for this happening again, and larger headliners, I would like to know as well, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, so it doesn't become the bottom of somebody's paper pile, what is the plan? And is our police department aware of it? Is our fire department aware and prepared? Do they have a plan ahead of time? Not the night when it happens, when people are showing up and noise is going on forever and ever. And again, I feel like, as not just in violation of the noise ordinance, but because it is a weekend, yes, I'm open to conversations, but only if they're enforceable, and so that it's a collaborative meeting. So even if it was maybe until midnight, I'm not proposing a solution right now. I'm just saying it's ridiculous at 2 a.m. or before 2 a.m. on a Saturday or not, because when we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, there are some people who work night shift. There are some people who are caring for elderly who maybe can't just grin and bear it because your house is literally shaking. And so that is my desire, is to get some sort of response from someone. I don't know who it will be from, but I'd like to know who I can expect to get a response in regards to a plan. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald?
I would like to piggyback on that for just a moment. I live on the other side of that center, not as close as she does, Even I heard it, windows closed, and it was ridiculous. I thought the party was on the end of my street, one street over. That's how loud it was. And when I found out it was that far away, yeah, something needs to be done.
All right, thank you for your comments, Ms. Brooks. We will be working on this.
And Mr. President,
Mr. Davis?
and let it also, let's just note that this last month is honestly, it's an answer looking for a question. There's obviously a market for an entertainment venue or a performance venue here in the city. So let's see what we can do on this city center as we get into the remodeling. Let's see, maybe we can have a sort of that feature for the city center, where it's a little bit farther away from the residential component, and where we're able to accommodate both our businesses who obviously want and have chosen us as a neighborhood, as a city that they'd like to conduct business in, and also make it feasible for our neighbors, our council, and our members who also want to have a peaceful night's sleep. So,
Mr.
I would
President,
love for it to be
Mr.
on the opposite
President,
side of town.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
the city center is located right smack dab in the middle of residence. There are no businesses there. At least over here, there's businesses. If we put that there, that would be even worse than what we're experiencing now. Just saying.
Okay. Mr. Hedger, is anyone else signed in?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next up is legislation. Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, first reading, resolution number 3, 2024, a resolution authorizing the sale of certain city-owned vehicles no longer needed for any municipal purpose.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I understand this piece of legislation did not go through any committees, so
Correct.
I just kind of curious, do we have any backstory on this? Do we know, like, I don't know, the basic questions are, how did the dollar amount of $15,000 come up? I mean, how did we pick Mount Healthy to sell it to? I'm filled with questions.
Ms. Ike, can you provide some response?
This ambulance is being replaced by the new one.
Sure.
That's being put into service soon. I believe that we got the offer from Mount Healthy due to the close working relationship that we have. They knew we would be putting this one out of service, and made an offer to purchase it. I do believe the comparables are what we're seeing on GovDeals, which is where we would normally dispose of something like this, but I can get those comps for you.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
and I'm not gonna, the legislation itself did not come through a committee, but I'm not sure if you remember that, not this year, 2023, when the department heads came, but the year before that, we were talking about this very thing, because this was when we were in lieu of putting the new ambulance in the budget. He did talk, Chief Fells talked to us specifically about what would happen with the older ambulance, and he said that he would be interested in selling it, and we would look around for competing prices. So I agree that it did not necessarily come through a committee, but this is not the first time we heard that it would be unfolding like this.
Mr. President.
Ms. Zorb.
But again, I'll add, I mean, just like you said, it was 2 years ago. There's many members on this council that weren't here 2 years ago, so they didn't hear that. So this was brand new to them.
Thank you. Mr. Hedger.
First reading, resolution number 4, 2024, a resolution dispensing with statutory bidding procedures due to conditions of urgent necessity related to the repair of a roof leak.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I move that we suspend the second and third reading of resolution number 4-2024.
I have a motion from Ms. Underwood to suspend second and third readings for Resolution 4, 2024.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Mr. Davis to suspend second and third reading Resolution 4, 2024. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
was there some event that happened with the roof, or it's just regular repairs?
This is not regular repairs. Ms. Ike or Ms. Nichols wants to, it's raining inside the building when it rains outside.
Yes, so they have found another leak, and so there's a leak whenever it rains, and they just replaced the floors, so it's damaging the floors, or it could potentially be damaging to the floors. They just found it, so.
Mr. President.
Ms. Zorb.
So I guess my question is this for the fire department or the entire building?
As far as I recall, it's just on the fire department side. Now, there may be some small leaks in the police side. Do you recall, Mr. Dieters, if he said it was on the?
No, I don't know.
I do recall him saying the fire side.
Is there a reason we're not replacing the police side while we do it all? We're going to run into the same scenario that we did at Clovernock.
Most more than likely, if it's not for the entire. You're right.
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Ms. Orb.
So I have another question. Mr. Dieters, did your law firm truly write this?
Somebody from my office did. I haven't had a chance to review it.
I'm curious about section 4, where it repeatedly calls council.
And
in-
5.
Yes, and section 5, sorry, where council is spelled like it's
probably
you
was
and not us.
Yeah, it should be a CIL. So must have been
It's
a typo
repeated,
or
it's like
something.
4 or 5 times throughout the document.
I apologize. I didn't get a chance to look at it because we needed it right away.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald.
on this same issue of looking at this legislation, I feel that if we put more in that title, it says to the repair of a roof leak could be anywhere. I think it should either give her an address or the building that roof leak is attached to.
Mr. President,
I think the title could be a little more clear.
Ms. Underwood.
I withdraw my motion.
All right, that is all the legislation for readings tonight. Next up is further remarks from the audience. If anyone has anything they wish to say as it pertains to the legislation we have discussed tonight.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
Ms. Tewald, would you mind following up on the roof situation at the fire department as a part of public safety, just so we can get some more information about like where the roof is leaking? Is it like that big leak where they had with the big bucket
Right.
filling up every time it rains, or is it just kind of trickle, or I'm just kind of curious as to kind of what's
Certainly. I'll take
going
care of
on.
that.
All right, next item on the agenda is old business.
Mr. President,
Ms. Brunner.
last council meeting, a citizen, Ms. Peggy Albert, asked about insurance, help paying for either removing the mold out of the city center or help replacing the building funds. But the insurance company will not do that because it could have been preventable. It could have been preventable. So unfortunately, is a no.
Thank you for that. Any other old business? All right, moving to new business, hearing no further old business. All right, so Ms. Zorb, you had requested committees for a couple of, one for food truck ordinance. Ms. Brunner, can you take a look at the food truck ordinance in your next committee meeting? Do you have room on your agenda?
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, Annalisa and I had spoke about something about that in the makings.
Okay, thank you for that. And then the building facility use policy, Ms. Underwood, can you dust that back off, please,
Yes.
at your next committee meeting? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome, Ms. Zorb. Was there something else someone approached me with about new business before the meeting?
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Ms. Underwood.
I was just curious if you could just refer the issue of the memorial to Mr. Dunstan to one of the committees.
Thank you. Who wants to take that?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I guess my question would be, are we asking about the just having a memorial, or are you asking us to provide finances for the memorial?
Like a plaque. Is that what you're?
Oh, I have no business.
Yes, please.
The request was for the creation of financing and the designation of a modest memorial.
Thank you, Mr. Rucker.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Brunner?
I have a problem with these mics. I cannot hear.
So the audio is
This
only
is-
going on to ICRC.
I know, so we can't get the mic in the back of the room or something, a whole mic or something.
It's about sorry.
Go ahead,
'Cause I
Ms. Orb.
can't hear in the back of the room.
I believe the issue is a speaker.
Speaker?
We need a speaker in here.
Mhm.
And I think, I talked to Brian at ICRC, and I think he's working towards that.
Okay.
They were trying to decide whether to dismantle the stuff at Clover Nook and bring that over. And I think it's a timing and direction kind of issue.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Ms. Zorb. Ms. Dukestein?
I don't want to lose the memorial
Correct.
for Mr. Dunstan. Can we default that to budget and finance so we can first address the financial piece and then we'll,
Sounds good. Yes, please.
okay.
So you'll
I
put it
will-
on your next meeting agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I actually have a different issue.
Yes, ma'am.
New issue. So the fence around the park
Wise
next
Park.
door is to the bank. Clearly, somebody has had some kind of a major accident, and the fence has just been not completely, but severely damaged. So I don't know how that works. I would imagine if they had insurance, that the insurance would cover that, but I just don't know if there was an accident report, if there was it's very unsightly.
Yes.
Mr. President,
President.
Ms. Brunner?
I took a picture and gave it to the assistant administrator, and he said he will follow up on it.
Ms. Dewald?
Mr. President.
Oh,
Mr. President.
I'll turn it over to Ms. Zeke. Go ahead.
I want to let you know that Ms. Bruner and I spoke about that. She was headed into a meeting, so I called the police department, and they are aware that it happened. They don't know who did it. Did I
Ms.
step
Zeke?
on your toes, Ms. Zeke?
No, there was an accident at
Okay.
that
Oh,
intersection. So we are trying to get the information. We will turn it over to the insurance company, and we are in the process of getting a quote to see what the cost would be to replace, I believe it's 4 panels of that fence.
Okay. Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
we'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. DeWald, second by Ms. Zorb to adjourn. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.